The scope and speed of this downturn are without modern precedent, significantly worse than any recession since World War II. We are seeing a severe decline in economic activity and employment, and already the job gains of the last decade have been erased. Since the pandemic arrived in force just 2 months ago, more than 20 million people have lost their jobs. A Fed survey being released tomorrow reflects findings similar to many others. Among people who were working in February, almost 40% of those in households making less than $40,000 a year had lost a job in March.
Some breaking news that we just received that the unemployment numbers have just come in with an additional 3 million claims made over the last week, bringing the total to 36 million Americans who have sought U.S. unemployment aid since the virus hit in March and since these lockdowns began. So remember that the Bureau of Labor Statistics had said that the official unemployment rate for April was 14.7%. The Federal Reserve president of the Bank of Minneapolis, Neil Kashkari, revealing that it's actually closer to 23, 24% with the past numbers. This one will make it tick up even higher. Of course, we don't have an official rate for you, but very, very close to that edge of the highest ever in American history of 25% at the height of the Great Depression. Just a terrible situation. And at the same time, and we received that information from the Federal Reserve Chairman yesterday, Krystal, about low-income households getting clobbered by this.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, we've been covering from the beginning, unsurprisingly, that it's working class and lower income Americans who have been hardest hit by this crisis in literally every respect. These numbers were just truly stunning. So new numbers saying that 40% of workers who make less than $40,000 a year have lost their job.
Right.
40%.
In March. That was the other thing, in March.
And yet, here we are in D.C. Pelosi's put forward their ridiculous, pathetic lobbyist grab bag nonsense, okay, which is actually better than what the Republicans are offering, which is literally nothing. They're not even negotiating, right? No real pressure from the White House to get anything done. There's these stories that are well, they realize they may have to do something at some point. What are you talking about? Millions upon millions are filing for unemployment as we speak. We're months into this crisis and we're still seeing millions lose their job. And you're well, we'll see how it goes. We've seen how it goes. We know how it's going. We have the numbers. We have the pain. We have the human beings who are suffering right now. That is how it is going.
Exactly. And, there is one piece of encouraging news, which is that continuing claims are actually roughly flat at 22.8 million versus a jump of 25 million, which means that about 3 million people who had claimed unemployment now seem to be off unemployment. Now, we don't know what that entails, whether some businesses have reopened or not, but this actually goes back to something that I had talked about earlier on the show, which is we're setting ourselves up for one of the stupidest fights in American history. We let all of these businesses fold and people go on unemployment. So what is the next political fight going to be about? Unemployment, because we have beefed up unemployment. So now it's going to be about either extending unemployment or it's going to be about trying to get people back on their payroll. If we had kept people on payroll from the very beginning, no problems. You don't have to extend $600 a week. Everybody just keeps getting paid. Hazard workers, of course, get their pay bump and all of that. And also what you can do with the payroll, you can start out when everybody's totally shut down. You can start at 80%. You can phase that down, right? So if business can only go up to 50, then you keep covering payroll up to that, and then you phase it all the way back into a total and real economy. Now, this is the thing. Who wants to sit on unemployment for months and months and months? Americans don't want that.
No.
That's the other thing. Actually, one of the false accusations that Stephen Moore made against us is that we want people to just sit at home, do nothing, and just draw unemployment checks forever. No, I never wanted people on unemployment.
No, I want a federal jobs guarantee. What I actually want, what I wish someone would talk about here in this town, Mark Cuban seems to get it and understand that would be a good thing. There is work that needs to be done now. There will be work that needs to be done in the future. And this is where we're being so gaslit by all of these people, specifically Pelosi and the Democrats. Why did they say they couldn't put Pramila Jayapal's paycheck, nationalizing the payrolls into here? They said, it's too expensive and it's too complicated. Well, how many other countries have managed to figure it out, guys? I'm sure you could figure it out if you wanted to. And it wasn't too expensive when you're giving trillions away to big business. And that's part of what is so unconscionable here, too. It's not that we haven't spent enough money. We just spent it on all the wrong places in this very inefficient, ineffective, and frankly immoral, in my view, way. And so that's why we're in this terrible situation where not only are we in pain now, but we are likely to suffer for much, much longer than these other countries because of the inadequacy of this response.
It's so stupid. And look, it doesn't cost that much money. It's $600 billion over 3 months. And I know that is a lot, but we want to spend $3 trillion on bailing out the states. And
the
all
money
that
wasn't
is
the
another
problem.
$600 billion. Exact. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Don't let them gaslight you. This isn't about money. This isn't about any of that. It's about the fact that they literally don't want to pick up people's paychecks. For whatever reason. I think I know the reason, which is they want to use that money to bail out the lobbyist industry and to continue bailing out and giving earmarks to all their little pet favorite causes.
Right.
Well, the easiest thing on earth is to keep people and firms intact. If we come out of this, 100,000 small businesses have already permanently closed. Forever. So, I mean, what is that number going to be? Hundreds of thousands? 400? 500,000? That is an economic and local and community catastrophe.
Well, and that's it. That's it is also what is the long-term impact going to be? And there's a growing movement that's not just on the left, but to focus on, okay, if you are a company that has received a lot of money from the government, let's limit your ability to buy up a lot of firms, something that we've talked about here, because you want to keep that, you want to keep small industry thriving. You want to keep those local businesses on their feet and not just have everything bought up as distressed assets and the big guys get bigger, which is exactly the trajectory that we're heading. And this is actually a subtweet of Matt Stoller. This is hilarious.
Hipster antitrust.
This is cool among the hipster antitrust movement has been drinking too much kombucha or something like that. It's hilarious.
I don't even like kombucha.
It's no, actually, it's a really important and significant idea that, it may not have a lot of support among the powers that be here in this town, the well-funded interests and think tanks, et cetera, that run so much of policy here. But in reality, if you want to get back to the way America was, not that it was so perfect to start with, but if you want to avoid all of this consolidation, the big guys getting even bigger, you need to have some provisions like that in place.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. What, you guys want to live in South Korea where there's 6 companies that run everything and the CEOs are basically government ministers? You want to live in Russia in an actual oligarchy? I don't want to live in that world. Nobody does. If you want to have this just comes down to the central thing. Do you believe that corporate power can pose just as much of a threat to your life as government power? If you don't answer that, you're an idiot, and then you don't understand how power actually works in this country.
Yeah, it's full on socialism for big business is what we've had in this response.
Who wants to live like that?
Rugged individualism for everyone else, as per usual.
All right,
we'll have more Rising for you after this.